Good morning, traders. Gates W. Adams here. I am your host, and we are back. I hope you are having a fantastic Monday and start to the week. Hopefully, you're keeping it green. Today, we get to talk with Chris. Now, Chris is a police officer, and I want to take the opportunity to thank him for his service. On top of that, he works nights, which kind of changes the dynamics of his trades. And as we're going to talk about, obviously, ultimately, he has the goal of transitioning into more of a full-time trading versus operating as a police officer and a trader. So we're going to have an opportunity to talk about that and see what's going to get him there on today's Trader Bacon Show.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now.
Good morning, Chris. How's it going?
Morning. How we doing today?
We're doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Doing great. Thanks for having me back on with you.
Man, it's a pleasure to have you on here. We've had a chance to chat a couple of times, and I've been excited about having this show take place. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Before we jump into a lot of the meat, of course, I just want to remind everybody we are giving away some Apex Trader funding evaluations today, 3 of them to be exact. Make sure you fill out that form that is in the chat so that we can get you entered in for that, and we'll get you those winners' names by the end of the show. So anyway, Chris, man, let's talk about some trading.
All right, let's do it.
So man, So first and foremost, we talked. I talked about it in the intro. Look, first of all, thank you for your service. I love the guys in blue. Definitely appreciate everything that you do for us. So thanks first and foremost for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Man, of course. Now, so dynamically speaking, obviously, as I mentioned, you work nights. So let's talk about basically what is it that you do before you start getting your head into the charts and start looking at the trading day?
One of the first things I like to do, I like to know what's going on in the week. So I look at an economic calendar. I want to know what's coming out. Do we have, like this week, for example, this coming week, we've got non-farm payroll, first Friday of the month. Are we getting CPI data? Are we getting GDP numbers? Is Jerome Powell speaking? Is there Fed minutes coming out at 2 o'clock? Like, I need to know everything to navigate the week. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to start from the top and scale myself down in the charts. I want to look at the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and try to identify the trend. Are we in a consolidation period? Are we moving up? Are we moving down? What direction is the market going? What areas have been tested several times that look like a good target for some trades? Have we had a breakout and a pullback from the breakout? And is that in range that we're going to break out this level and keep running? So I kind of want to see everything that's going on, and then I want to factor in what kind of economic news and market moving stuff is going on too. Last thing you want to do is get caught in 8:30 release you didn't know was there, or the 10 o'clock news that comes out, and next thing you know, your position's wiped out, and what just happened? The market moved 25 points in a second.
So
those are important things.
Let's take a quick step back. The economic calendar, you talked about that, and I know different people have a different take on how to utilize that information. So for you, what does that look like? Is this an opportunity? Is this a stay out? What does that look like for Chris?
I think it's a little bit of both. You kind of have to know how to play it. So one of the things I do is I say this every time. If FOMC minutes are at 2 o'clock, I do not trade until after 2 o'clock. I will watch the market. I'll see what it looks like, but you get a lot of false trends. You get a lot of false breakouts. You get a lot of low volume, and that can kind of play tricks on your trades if you're really dialed into the charts. Everything looks like a trend that's not a trend, and it's like, well, what just happened here? But then you realize there's no volume because everybody's waiting until 2 o'clock.
Right. So everybody else is playing that waiting game. It takes very little to make those moves, and they're just less meaningful. Is that pretty fair assessment?
Oh yeah, you want to wait till there's some volume in the market, and then it's always nice if you can kind of get a safe position. Say the market's kind of rallying up all morning. If you get in a position, you can kind of put a stop to break even, thinking that, all right, when Powell comes on at 2 o'clock, this thing's going to just take off one way or the other. And if you got the direction right, great, there's a lot of opportunity there. But if you try to get in right around there, good luck. You kind of want to wait until things have settled a little bit, and you can identify some opportunities after that.
Okay. How long do you typically wait?
It just depends. So last Friday, he came on at 10 o'clock for that Jackson Hole symposium. And it was pretty obvious to me what was happening. The initial move was down, and it kind of hit a support level or one of those liquidity zones, and it immediately bounced and shifted and went up like 150 points. I can't remember, but it was a quick reversal. And so within 10 minutes, it had completely reversed, went from a downtrend to an uptrend, and then like 5 minutes later, it was back in a downtrend. Pretty tricky to trade.
So we're staying out of the reaction, trying to figure out what the actual response is.
For the most part, unless you've got a pretty good key on which way it's initially moving. The good thing about those types of days is the market moves quite a bit in not a lot of time. So like you and I were talking before, is even if I take a couple quick losses, it's usually something I can at least get back. Maybe your timing's off, maybe you're a little early to the trade, or maybe it wants to break the level, run up a little bit, and then come back down. You just have to be patient and catch that move. But I try to look at areas that have been tested several times, breakout areas and things like that. Try to look for those areas to get tested. So if I think it's going to drop, I'm kind of looking for some sort of indicator that we're going to be in some sort of short-term selling position.
Awesome. Now, I'm personally a visual learner, so I like to see examples of how all this looks on a screen. You have something you can show us?
Yeah, I'm going to show you my charts. I've got 3 charts set up. Now,
Okay.
I do most of my trading off of this top. This is a 5 range. And what I found with the 5 range is that it works really well for identifying a trend that's about to start. So what I've pulled up here was August 24th. And if we look at the bottom here in this 5-minute chart, I'm just going to blow this up. This was a big rug pull. The day before, we had a big rally. The NVIDIA earnings were coming out. So we had a rally kind of all day. Market just kind of took off on the open and just didn't stop. And then after hours, we had this big push. If you look at that big green candle here at 4 p.m. Overnight, we continued to go up. We did consolidate a little bit. And then right as the market opened, right before the market opened, we see just this big rug pull where basically all those gains from the day before were just completely wiped out. So we're talking this is the NASDAQ. We're talking this level here, 15,350 to 14,850. So that's quite a bit in one day.
Right.
500 points is a lot. And most of us, I think, we'd be looking for some sort of continuation for the market to go up. Now, I've been around not a long time, but 3 years I've been trading now. And what I always like to think is just expect the unexpected. So
Sure.
I was expecting some sort of short-term selling to happen. I wasn't expecting all this. I thought the day was going to be not a great day. But then immediately I was able to use my 5 range chart, and I have it pulled up like right to the moment, the 9:30. And you can see right, if you're watching this range chart, it's testing this 350 level multiple times from about 820 to all the way till the market, right before the market opens. And then the last time it kind of hits this line I had mapped out right at 926, and then this thing just shot down. So as I pull it, drag it over here, we're talking in 5 minutes, we've gone from 15,350 to 15,240. Now,
so we're
I
800
was
points plus.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. I was expecting some short-term selling, and as soon as I saw this with the range chart, as soon as I saw it come into this level and just bounce off of it, I said, this might not be a bad idea to get into a short position. And then this thing just shot down. So one of the things I like about this range chart is that it'll help you identify a trend that's beginning or a trend that's ending pretty quick versus just the candlestick pattern. If we go back to the 5-minute here, if you were just trading off the 5-minute chart, you can see we have a wick rejection right at that level, but then we have this big red candle, a couple other red candles. We had another area I had mapped off prior. We pulled back right into that, and then we had a continuation down. What I like about using the range chart is that it is, when you have high volume, you have high volatility, it's like looking at the market with a microscope. And you can identify, like, here's another swing area, this 15,260, where I have the cursor. Look at how it come into this level, immediately started testing around, pulled up right into it a couple times. And each time, I kind of call this a fadeaway. Each time it's getting lower and lower, it's getting ready to make another move down, which it does. And then you can see it's just a matter of timing in your entries. But this thing just shot down. I used to struggle with these kind of days when they just take off, because you're always waiting for some sort of pullback, maybe a little bit of consolidation. But what I've realized is if you want to jump on this train pretty early, it's very helpful if you have a chart that you can identify these things while they're happening. Now, if we go to Friday, where Jerome Powell was speaking, that was another tricky day, and I didn't have too many problems with that. I was waiting for the 10 o'clock release to come out, and this doesn't look great. And you can see these are 5-minute candles, and we're talking, we moved down initially 14,880, and then we moved up to 1550. Quite a bit of movement in 10 minutes. Now, if you're just looking at candlesticks, you've got a red candlestick, a green candlestick, another red one, and a giant wick rejection. But if you're looking on it on the range chart, I'm going to try to find this scrolling back. But if you're looking at the range chart, this will give you a lot of good indications of like, here's a good one for a reversal. So the markets had been moving down, and you can kind of see these bottoming out patterns. So the market will kind of start jumping. And these are quick. These are only a couple minutes, but you can see this area looks like it's getting tested, but it looks like it's holding this area. And whenever I see that, I start to think, okay, we're probably looking to bounce off of here. We're probably looking at some sort of reversal. And it's good to time in with the 5-minute and the 1-minute chart, but this will give you a little heads up before any of that stuff ever really develops, because you're talking number of trades versus time.
Right.
So the 5-minute candle's got to set in 5 minutes, and anything can happen. But within that 5-minute candle, you can see it's clearly moving up.
Right.
And you've got everything that looks like a trend: higher highs, higher lows, and a big move up. And it's like, next thing you know, it's just gone from 140 to 220. We've gone up 130 points. That's quite a bit.
Right.
And that's why I like looking at the range chart. Now, it's not always great. It's not great during slower price action. It's not great during consolidation periods. It's easy to get lost in it. But when you get a strong trending day like we have on the sell-off day on the 24th and on Friday, and you get these trends, it just helps you to identify it quicker. This way you're not getting the FOMO, you're not catching it too late, you're starting to see it develop, and as it develops, you're starting to think about your entry.
So what actually triggers an entry for you through the scope of what you've just explained to us? Where are you getting in?
I like to get in as early as possible. I always want to try to have some sort of minimized risk.
Okay.
So if I saw this, I don't think I ever traded anything going up on Friday. I think most of the trading I did was when it was selling down. Now this is kind of interesting. I played this pretty well. Not to pat myself on the back, but just that initial move down on Friday when Powell first started talking, it had gone down, and I think it went down. I don't know, what was that, from 15,000 to 14,890, quite a bit in 5 minutes. And I kind of got caught up. I didn't catch the reversal. I just assumed it was going to keep going and going. Which it didn't. So that initial move down kind of threw me off, but then you can see here's where the reversal takes place. We start seeing it bounce off of this area, then we see it test this area, and it's not really making any new lows. Then it starts bouncing back up, and then it just takes off. But on a day where Jerome Powell's speaking or there's a release coming out, you can have this kind of price action where these reversals turn into quick trend changes like that. Now, where I got in was actually up here. As soon as I saw, and I'll put a line on it, as soon as I saw it start topping right in here, it looked like a topping pattern. I knew it was going to break it, and I knew it probably wasn't going to hold it. So as soon as it started coming back down off of here, and I started seeing these series of points where it had tested areas and started falling away, that's when I thought to get short.
Okay.
Which doesn't sound like makes a lot of sense when it's just gone up like 200 points. But that initial move down, I knew that area was probably going to get tested at some point again. And just by watching the range chart and staring at the screens for as long as I have, I'm really in tune to catching these kind of reversals.
Right.
Which I think I probably did go long a few times in here, looking for that continuation, because there was a lot of room either direction. But again, it's a matter of, you see the point here, the point here, the point here, and then it breaks this little area. Really doesn't even bounce off of it. That was the cue for me that this thing's probably going to come down, and I knew there was a ton of room to the downside.
Okay. What about trade management? I mean, are you looking for a specific risk reward ratio? Do you trail that trade as it goes? How do you manage that?
I do try to trail my stop down. So my favorite ATM strategy is like a 25 point on one contract with a 10 point stop loss. But the first thing I do is that's just the ATM. So the first thing I do is start managing off of that. First thing I'll do is grab my stop loss and start looking, okay, am I about to get stopped out? Did I get in way too early? Do I want to move this thing up a little bit and give it a little bit of room? Because on a high volatile day where you're not going to have the best entry because the market's moving so quick, it's not a bad idea to get that thing out of the way if you're just going in with one contract. Now, if I'm going in with two, I'm probably going to be a little bit more strict.
Sure.
And then I do tend to trail my stops down, especially if we're still looking at the charts here. You get these little swing areas where it'll pull back and pull back. Sometimes I'll start moving to these areas and just trying to catch the little, I call them swing areas, but the little pullbacks. And I'll usually put the stop just above structure there. So sometimes I get the full target, sometimes I don't, but hey, that's the risk management there. I'd rather take some than none.
Sure.
Last thing you want to do is be up. If you got a 25 point 100 tick target, last thing you want to be up is 80 ticks and then take a 40 tick loss.
Right.
So I'm pretty quick to break even.
Okay.
And I'm pretty quick to lock in profits.
Got it. Now, clearly this is all working for you. And so all of that said, we talked about in the beginning that obviously you have a goal, you have a target that you're shooting for as a trader at this point in your life. So talk to us a little bit about what it is that where's Chris going from here?
Hopefully home and not going to work anymore. That's the plan. So about 13 years ago, I wanted to start my own business, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I was home. I was doing some work at home. I used to be a car mechanic before I became a police officer. So I got a little shop set up at home, and I did a lot of car work. And that's backbreaking, bruising work. It's hard work. It's frustrating. I throw a lot of tools around. And, I got out of that professionally in my 20s, and I had no interest in going back. But what I liked the idea of having my own business, and there's so much overhead involved in everything. So when I got into trading, it's like, wow, you just need at the very minimum, you need an internet connection and a laptop, and then you can work from anywhere. You could be on vacation working. And
so no rent, no employees, no inventory, no torn up knuckles. If we're going back to
knuckles, no boss, no
right.
Boss.
As long as
you can't get fired.
Around, you can't get fired, but as long as you're not throwing your laptop around, because I guess that's your tool, right?
I've come close. Yeah, I have come close.
You're probably the only one. Certainly the only one on this feed. No, I for sure get it. So we're trying to move towards being just 100% of that income coming from trading, huh?
Absolutely. I was going to look at everything. I was going to give it till the end of the year. I did have some goals in mind that I wanted to meet. Now, between some evaluation accounts and some funded PA accounts, I have actually met that monthly goal, several times. So I have the confidence that I can do it. I'd like to feel better if I was a little bit more consistent and I saw a certain amount of numbers every month over probably for the next 2 or 3 months, I would feel a little bit more confident in cutting the cord and just focusing on trading.
Sure. And I think that for most of us, look, I don't know that that's everybody's ultimate goal, but for a lot of us, it really is just that freedom, that opportunity to throw away the business, which was what it was for me, because I had the rent, the employees, the inventory. That was my nightmare, right? For a lot of times, a lot of people, it's just getting rid of that, that boss or that schedule or that lifestyle that comes from 40 to 60 hours a week and turning it into, hey, a few hours and I'm good to go for the day. So we'll get to this in a second, Raj, and I'll give him a chance to answer that real quick. I want to just real quick do some business, guys. Last chance. Get those entries in for that giveaway. Make sure you fill out that form, and we'll give those here in just a second. And Raji wants to know, Chris, when was that moment when you knew you got it? What was that aha moment for you?
I don't know if I had one moment, but I'd say over the course of time, it was every little goal I had was knocked out. And the first goal everybody has when they get into this, when they're working with Apex or God forbid, one of those other companies I wouldn't recommend, but one of those, you get funded, you pass the evaluation, you've demonstrated that you know how to trade, you know how to meet a profit target, you know how to manage risk. Once you start seeing that you can do that, then you really start to believe in yourself. Right. And then there's the PA account. Then you get your first payout, hitting your first $1,000 trade, your full winners, identifying the market before the market opens up, having an idea of where it's going to go. I would say when I could start to look at the charts and see areas that were going to get hit, whether they're 5 points away or 100 points away, and you see it over and over again, that's when I knew, okay, I know where the market's going. Now I just need to figure out, how do I get into this? Because I know it's going to drop. I like to say, is it going to take a detour first?
Right. And there's a lot of confidence in that when you start to see that happen over and over and over again. So, well, listen, man, this has been fantastic. I love just, getting some insight from you. Raji makes a great point. Lots of insights in this one. So thank you for that. As we wrap everything up, I want to share a couple of things with you guys. Number one, next week is Labor Day. We will not be having a show on Labor Day, but come back the week after because we have a very, very special show for you. Daryl R. Martin himself will be on the show and sharing a lot of his insights and what has brought him to the level of success and the growth that he's experienced, not only as a trader, but as a businessman inside the world of trading. So you definitely don't want to miss that. That is going to be September 11th. So we will not see you next week. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Come back and check it out for sure. It's going to be an awesome one. You guys have a wonderful holiday. And looks like we have Raji, Trey, and Shaq are our winners of those evaluations. So congratulations. Nice. You will be getting an email to get all of those set up. Make sure you get those set up and take full advantage. For all of you out there, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in a couple weeks and keep it green.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase every